Hey guys, I'm in my studio. I just took my drawing board and I put a piece of paper on it and I set it on top of a stool and leaned it against a wall. So that's all I'm using for for an easel or an art horse. It's just simply leaning it against the wall. So it's something simple and easy you could do at home if you wanted to as well. Um, and we talked a little bit in the last video. You should have seen a video already that talked about basically what is 1 and 2 point perspective. And so for your practice exercise, I want you to do two different exercises basically. We're going to do one where we just practice doing some simple 1 and 2 point perspective boxes. And then we'll do like a stack of boxes, but we'll use a ruler for both of those. So you're going to need a pencil and you're going to need a ruler for both of those projects. And then when you actually go to do your actual project, you'll measure the angles in a different way. But just for your practice, let's use a ruler. All right, so we just want to do several different 1 and 2 point perspective boxes. But the first thing we need to do is establish where we're looking, where our eye level line is. And so I'm just simply going to run a line across here. And because this is video, and if I drew lightly, it'd be really hard to see, I'm going pretty dark with a 6B pencil right now. You don't have to go that dark, that's up to you. Use whatever pencil you're comfortable with. And I need to establish my vanishing point, so I'm just going to say this is my vanishing point right here. Can you see that okay on the video? Oh, you can actually see it, okay. And I'll put another X out here. And another X over here. So the X in the middle is just for my 1 point perspective. The X's on the side are for my 2 point perspective. You don't necessarily have to have that in the middle, depending on where you were standing in a street, for instance. The street scene might be going to this point right here. You know, you could be kind of close to one side and have lots of street, have lots of buildings going this way and then have more of the street going on the other side. That can actually move. It's basically where you're looking in the image. Alright, so simple 1 point perspective box. I'm just going to be lazy and use this ruler, but alright. So if it's 1 point perspective, this is facing us. I guess I should use the ruler just to show you the ruler. So if it went from that X to that corner, from that X to the corner, that's the gist of it. I'll just remove this just so you can kind of get an idea. We get garbled. So just for practice, try doing this in several different places on the drawing. Just try this in a couple different places. Try them farther and closer away. So because depending on where they are, they're actually going to change. So for instance, if I made one down here, it's farther away. It's more below me. It's farther down below me. It's lower physically. So you can see because of that, you see a lot more of the top and the side of the box because it's getting closer to me and it's lower on the ground, so I can see more of it. But if you just follow the system, basically it works itself out automatically. So try to do a couple of these, put them in different places, try some up high, In fact, I'll put one up high. I'll put one up here. I don't have to make them this size. You can make them any size you want. It really doesn't matter. And again, this is only applicable when the face of something is facing towards me. It also applies to like hallways and roads and sidewalks and things like that. So that's 1 point perspective, and again, it only applies to. It only really applies to when the face of the object is facing you. It would also apply whenever you had a square, and you had like the top, like let's say like a tile on a floor, or maybe even like a piece of like a concrete pad of a building or something, and it was just a top square of that piece, and you don't have a front side to it. It could also apply in those instances too, depending on the angle of that square. But then let's try some. So to start with to draw a box where 2-point perspective is involved, where you have a corner that's closer rather than the side being the closest thing to you. You have one of these corners closer to you. You start with the closest corner first. So that is the corner closest to me. And then from there you draw to the X's on the outside edges of the page. And you do this for both the top and the bottom of that line. So you already, right now it looks like a wall, right? It pretty much is a wall. But if we were to then establish another upright, and we could put that upright anywhere, it's really irrelevant. From there, basically we want to take these corners to the opposites as well. And I'm aware that you can't see this part, but sometimes in drawing it's really important to draw what's behind or underneath things. Like for instance in a painting composition, you actually start from the background, forward. You start from what's behind, painting everything else on top of it. Sometimes it's easier to have that underlying structure. Alright, same thing here. And just like if we were building like a house out of this, like I showed you on the computer example, or we were building something else out of it, those features that are on the inside actually help us. With establishing where things were. So right now, essentially, if I wanted to make a prism out of this, like if it was a glass square like a fish tank or something, pretty much from this corner, from that cross to that cross, that's our square. So if I were to darken this up, and I am pushing ridiculously hard. Which, you know. Just to give you the illusion of what's farther back into space, I kept those lines light because really, theoretically, your brain could flip those either way. You know, this could be the outside edge and then the dark ones could be the inside edge. But because I made the darker ones dark, you know that those are closer to you. Again, that was the atmospheric perspective. Just helping me delineate the difference between those lines. So that is 2-point perspective. And that will work for any angle that is not straight on, basically. So I'll do one more of those. I'll do a big one just because. Line down here. So again, the same process, and really it can be anything. I mean, we can decide to make this a rectangle. We can make this into a floating upside down house if we wanted to. Not sure, maybe I do feel like making that a floating upside down house. Why not? So to do that, we're going to just continue to make it a prism, just like we did on the other one. Go from that corner. Same thing, going either way. What's that X? So from the corner to the X, from the corner to the X. Alright, and so right there, from where that crosses to where that crosses is theoretically, and it should be straight up and down. It's probably not because I'm holding my ruler all over the place and it's getting all crazy, but basically there's my cube, my upside down floating cube. And you notice that things are shrinking down as they go this way. Even the things on the top, it's not like flat. Even the top is getting tapered towards that way, or the bottom in this case. The bottom that we can see because it's floating in space. We could make it into anything. We could put a roof on that, make it a house. We could put a thing on the bottom of it. It doesn't really matter. We could build off more shapes off of this if we felt like it. So, for instance, let's just do that. Let's take that thing that's closest to us. Let's just bring it all the way down. All the way down to there. fault. What if, just for instance, what if we wanted to make this into some kind of crazy mailbox? I don't know, I've never done that before. We could draw from corner to corner. And you're probably wondering, well, why are you getting the center to make that into a mailbox? Because I want to dome it. I want to make it a dome and round. And in order to do that, I'd like to know where the center of my arc is. So now I know that if I am to make the top of this in an arc, if it was perfectly circular, it would go to here, but it's not going to. It's actually going to come up more like here. And in fact, if I were to just decide that my arc intersected there with the edge of my piece, it will actually come down to that same point. That means my arc will come from here up to there, and then another arc to there. That will give me my semicircle for this mailbox shape. Not only that, but if I followed the same thing down, that would give me the point at which that transitions there. So now I actually have the arc that I needed, and I could do the same thing on this side with the X's in the upright and figure out what my arc should be, where it goes, and help myself round this edge off here. I'm just going to eyeball it because I don't feel like waiting that long. Actually, yeah, right above there. So now I've sort of made a mailbox. Actually, no, it should go to there. No, I'm not going to eyeball it. I'm going to do it right. So it goes there. It should actually, just like I was doing before, it should actually go to here. And then these two will actually connect on the same line as if we were going to there, which they will. Boom. So that's the top of my mailbox shape. So my mailbox is going this way. I'm drawing the mailbox from below. So it's like if you're laying on the ground looking at a mailbox. And the mailbox is actually facing that way. So I guess we could put a flag on there. And of course the flag would follow that same angle too, right? It would follow those same kind of shapes. It would taper the same way. I don't even know if a mailbox, I think it flips around the other way. I don't even think it's on a mailbox like that. But same thing with here. This is going to get a little bit skinnier for the post. These angles are going to be the same. Put that in there. It's going to stick out. Whatever. It's a big chunky post, but whatever. It's a 2-point perspective mailbox to go with your house. Fancy. As if you were laying on the ground, I guess, or sitting in a chair or something, and this was above you and there was some below you. Basically, that's perspective, because based on where this line is, and you want to pay attention to that when you draw something, you want to place it appropriately above or below. So if you were drawing this mailbox and you said, oh, I could draw a mailbox, and you decided to do it this way, but you were standing up and the mailbox was actually like eye level with you, you'd probably want this line up higher, which would put your X's higher, which means you wouldn't see the bottom of that. You would see the top of the mailbox, not the bottom, if you were standing that high. And so where you put that line and where you position things to that line would obviously ultimately determine how your image looked and what things looked like. So just a practice like this would be good. Just try some different boxes, 1 and 2 point perspective boxes. try that.